you lovely people, and welcome back to another video. And today is going to be a really fun one. I'm going to be sewing a lovely bolero style top called the Wilder top, and it's from Mood Society and it just looks absolutely stunning. Super practical for when you just want to cover your shoulders in the evenings, or if you want to go on holiday where modesty is a little bit more important. I like to have a lot of coverage, and this top does seem to do that as well. I love the detail on this pattern. It's got beautiful ruffle detailing on the sleeves, and yeah, I just think it's just going to be an absolute winner of an addition to my wardrobe for this year. I've decided to do this in a very loud pattern, and I'm going to be doing it in this fabric, and I just love the neutral colours in this. But yeah, it screams very summery, and I would love to make a matching ruffle skirt to go with this. So let's see how this turns out first, and we'll see how we go. It's already been cut out, as you can see. It had to be cut out on the bias, so it's going to have a really nice drape to it. There's no overlocker needed for this, so it's a really great pattern for beginners. It involves using a French seam, which is always a great seam to learn how to do, because it just makes the finishing on your garments just so much more polished, neat, tidy and presentable. So what I've done so far is I've cut out the pattern, obviously, and I've just clipped the back seam together. So this here is the back seam. This is the neckline, and then it goes to the sleeve here. So I'm going to French seam the back seam first, and I'll be right with you. Okay, so now that I've done the wrong sides together, so this is opposite to how you would normally do a seam. Wrong sides together, and then do a straight stitch all the way across, leaving whatever your seam allowance is. So I've done 1/2 inch here. And then what I'm going to do now is trim the excess from above the stitch here so it doesn't clump too much. And then I'm going to iron it down, so I'll show you when I get to that part as well. Okay, so because this is quite a thin fabric, obviously it does need a little bit of zhuzhing. And let me just show you what I've done here, because I've clipped them all. Clip the seam like so, just that when I come to iron it, I know that I'm getting right to the edge and it's not clumping unnecessarily. So now that I've got it this way out, I'm going to iron it firmly. So let's remove the clips as I go. Nice. Doesn't need to be that hot, I think. Let's turn that down. Okay, and then what I'm going to do now is turn it the other way. And then what I'll do now is do another seam along here on the wrong side. Oh, the frustration, the frustration, the frustration. When the bobbin runs out, when the bobbin runs out. Perfect. Go back and forth here just to secure that other stitch as well. Lovely jubbly. And off we go. Right, so that's done. I'm going to show you now what it looks like. So we've got a lovely seam here, and we're going to turn it the other way out. This way, the moment of truth, you hope it looks neat. Et voila. How lovely. So you've got the inside that now looks super neat, no raw edges, and then you've got the other side that just looks perfect. So I'm going to iron this down like this, just to give it a bit more of a crisp finish. The satisfaction of a clean stitch is just no words. No words. Right, so the next step is to again do a French seam, but this time on a curved edge. So again, you're going to put the two right sides together. And this is the underarm part now. So this is the back, this is the neckline. And so the bit that you want to attach now is this part here. So yes, you want it like this. I'm going to clip it here. And then just make sure that's all lining up. And then do this side. I'll be right back. I'm going to do this first. Okay, so I've now clipped / pinned the underarm and the side portion. So I've just made sure that the curve lines up perfectly. You probably want to put a few more clips than I have here. Wow, the sunset is beautiful. And then I've clipped it all the way down the side. And you're going to do exactly the same as what you did for the back seam. You're just obviously going to do it along the curve. So let's do that part first. I really love this part because everything just really comes together. It's actually starting to look like a top. So you've got the sleeve here all sewn up, and yeah, you can see how nice the edges are here. See if we can not focus on my face. Yeah, you've got really nice edges there. And the back seam is done. So that's the arm. So it's another day. Yesterday I hit a wall, I was starting to make mistakes and I started to need to unpick things, and you just know that's time to stop when that starts happening. So I called it a day and we're back here next day, and this is where we're at so far. So I managed to fix the bits that was causing an issue. I had basically, somehow the shape just wasn't right. I think this is down to the cutting process, where I think because this is viscose, it's quite slippery, and I think just the cutting wasn't equal and both panels should have been the same. So I had to do some cutting and things to make those align. And then I also sewed the wrong part together because I thought what was the side and the arm wasn't the side and the arm. So I had to undo that. But we are back with a garment, and the sleeves are intact, French seams all along the sides. It's looking really nice so far. What I need to do now though is pop in the elastic in the sleeves to make the puff sleeve, and then hem the edges. So I'm going to show you how I do the sleeve now. So this is the sleeve inside out, and this is the seam running along the edge, sort of underneath this part here. And so what I'm going to do first of all is to, come a little closer, is I'm going to turn this in probably by about 1/4 of an inch. And then what I'm going to do is turn it again by 2 inches. And then what I'm going to do is sew along this edge here. And then sew another stitch along here. Now this second stitch depends on how big your elastic is, and so mine's quite thick, thicker than the one that's recommended on the pattern. So I'm going to be then doing a stitch here and a stitch on this side, and then leaving an opening at the end so that you've got space to thread the elastic through. Okay, so as you can see, I've done the first seam here. I'm finding that this fabric's moving around quite a lot, so it's making it a little bit awkward. But what I'm going to do now is do my second seam, which I'm going to do around here. So I'm going to dot that around first, and then sew along here. I've left a little opening on this side just so that I can actually thread through the elastic after. Perfect! So I've done the little channel here. I've given a little bit of extra room just because I really hate forcing an elastic through a space that doesn't fit, so I've made it a little bit bigger. This one you don't have to leave the spacing here, so I've gone all the way around here. I've left the opening here, so I'm going to thread through the elastic. I'm going to pop a safety pin at the end here and then feed it through. So the elastic's all the way through. I've held it down with a safety pin. As you can see now, it's a lovely stretchy cuff. But what I'm going to do now is sew the two elastic pieces together and then sew up the opening here. And then all I need to do is do it to the other side. No pressure. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with it so far. I've just finished the sleeves. I think I need to reduce the amount of elastic on this one because it's not as much gathering as I would like. And this one I think I'm quite happy with. I tried it on and it's not too tight on the wrist. I did make a little error which meant that I did have to shorten the sleeve a little bit because I wasn't really ready mentally to unpick because I've done quite a lot of unpicking so far. I think most of the issues that I've had with this pattern so far is just the fabric that I've chosen, because although it's glorious and it's perfect for the design, it's not the easiest thing to sew. So maybe it probably would be better to start with a cotton fabric to start with, just to try it out. But I think just the moving around of this with the hemming and stuff has been quite difficult. But what I'm going to do first of all is hem the edges here and then also hem the wrap bits, which are the two smaller parts here for the waist ties. And once I've hemmed that, I'm going to attach the ties to the actual top. So quite excited. I like this point where it kind of starts coming together. You can kind of see how it's turning out. You can start to see if you think the fabric goes well with the actual pattern itself, which I'm actually really happy with. I'm actually really loving this fabric at the moment. It looks even better than when I just bought it off the roll. Anyone else find that? Anyone else find that it's just super difficult to understand the pattern on the actual fabric itself, the print rather? Because I always find, oh, it's such a pretty pattern, but is it going to look nice on an actual garment? Is it going to be too much? Is it going to be too busy? I just don't know. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, because that's what always runs through my mind when I'm in the fabric shop. I just get so overwhelmed by all the fabric that's around. And yeah, you don't know if you made the right decision until you start using it. So there you go. But yeah, let's get the rolled hems done. Okay, so I've done the next part, which is attaching the belt. So I've done one side and I still need to do the other. However, I just wanted to try it out first to see how we got on. And actually it wasn't too bad. Obviously what you need to do is pre-roll hem the belt here. The only thing I didn't like about this fabric, and I didn't really think about it when choosing the fabric, is that because there's only one panel for this, you would see the other side. So the fact that this is white, you do notice that. So I probably would say if you didn't really like that effect, I'd probably cut out another two more of these and kind of panel them together instead. Because I think that would have given a nicer finish. But then what I've done is then pleat, I don't know if you can see that actually, pleat it twice here. So folding it, so I folded it, clipped it, folded it, clipped it, and then I've done a French seam, so it's nice and neat. So wrong sides together, not right sides together, and just a pin to your heart's content, especially because this is viscose. I'm going to do the same for the other one, and I'll do that with you so you can see. So this is the other strip. And what I'm going to do is pleat once, sort of a third in, and clip, and then again another pleat a third in, and then do it the same on this side. Obviously you can do as many pleats as you want, and what you could even do is ruffle it if you really wanted to. You could just do a basting stitch and then just gather them, so you've got even more pleats. I'm just trying to follow what the pattern has advised. So I'm doing it this way, so clip it there. So you've got the pleated belt. Then you're going to get to your top and make sure you've got it all the right way around. So this is the top, and the side that we need it on is here. And you're going to put wrong sides together. Make sure that the edge of the belt is lining up with the bottom edge of the top as well. And then carefully, while they're lined up, is just transfer the clips, holding the pleats to hold the clips and the second part of the fabric. So now that these are aligned, I'm going to pop these through the sewing machine. Once it's actually under the foot securely, I'm going to put my hand across like this and then just feed it through the machine. I think that's the easiest way to do it. I'll see if I can video that as well so you can see what I'm doing, because it can get a little fiddly. So if you can see here, I've popped under the machine. I'm going to pop the foot where I want it. I'm going to put the needle down so it's into the fabric. And now that I'm going to put my hand here like this, holding the pleats in place, and then I'm going to remove the pin down and sew over it. So let's do that. Okay, so I've done the straight stitch here with the pleats. That's all been successful. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this over like this to do this French seam. If I show you now, this is the edge sewn here, and then when you open it up, you see how neat that edge is with the French seam. You can see the pleats and everything here. So that's the belt done. So I think that's pretty much it. Let's go and try it on and see what it looks like. Okay, so here it is. Doesn't it look gorgeous? I absolutely love it. There's definitely things that I would do differently next time. I think the fundamental reason why it didn't completely go to plan was the fabric. Now I love the pattern on this. It's absolutely gorgeous. So no regrets there. However, because it's viscose, it was very slippery at every stage, from cutting, which, to be honest, was done last year in a rush with a lot of other cutting things I did. So note to self is not to rush the cutting stage, especially with viscose, which just meant that things didn't line up properly, and in order to make it symmetrical and equal on both sides, I did need to cut down some of the fabric. So I'm definitely going to do this pattern again because I really did love it, but I think I'm going to do it in a cotton. As well, because cotton would probably have had a bit more puffiness in the sleeves and in the bow, so I think it's probably a better fabric to work with for this particular pattern anyway. The pattern itself was super easy. I absolutely loved doing it. Easy enough for it to be simple and to get it done within sort of 1 to 2 short casual sewing sessions. But if you're a beginner sewist, then it also has a couple of little stitching tasks which would improve your sewing skill anyway. So for example, on this one there was a lot of French seaming, curved French seaming, pleating on the tie detail here. There was just quite a few little learning experiences to be had on this project. So I do think if you're a beginner and you're just looking to up your game a little bit and learn a new skill, a new technique, then I think this pattern's great. And also just the end product itself is just so practical. I can so see myself taking this to Morocco when we go on holiday. It's just the perfect thing to throw over the shoulders if you just, in the evenings when you just want to cover up a little bit, or if it's just a little bit chilly and that sort of thing. So I think it is a really nice garment to make, and I think it could look so different with so many fabrics. You could do it with a plain colour to go with lots of other garments that you might have in your wardrobe. You could do broderie anglais. You could do so many different styles with this. Add a few more ruffles and you could just really make it your own. So yeah, this one doesn't have as much coverage, and that's completely my fault. That's not the pattern. I will do this again to see if we can get the coverage, because I am quite large chested on top. and I do appreciate a little bit more coverage. This is great if you've got a top to put underneath already. But yeah, and I mean, you learn lots of different things here with making the elasticated elasticated sleeves. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. One thing I would say though with this pattern is that when you're doing the ties, it does only tell you to cut out 2 pieces, but I probably would recommend, especially if you've got a fabric that's only printed on one side, is to actually cut out 4 so that you can always sandwich them together. Just because it's a little bit annoying when you do the bow on this one, because you've got to be careful how you orientate it because of the paler section. But yeah, I mean, this has to be one of my favourites so far. It's just super practical, super fun. I love this fabric. I've got some more of this fabric left, so I am going to make some matching ruffle skirt potentially. Now I do love this pattern of the print, and I do have some more left, so I am thinking of making a matching ruffle skirt to go with. If you have any other ideas on that, I would love to hear them, because I'm absolutely in love with this fabric. One thing I may also do is, in terms of the ties, I might add that second panelling on the other side, just because that bit is a little bit annoying. But other than that, I've really enjoyed this one. I think it's such a great pattern, completely free. This one I found on Mood Society. It's a paper download, and I'm not always a fan of paper download just because I find it takes so much more time on top of the cutting process to then cut everything out and sellotape everything all together. However, it's free, and if you are as spontaneous as me, and I don't always plan my makes, I just have a feeling that I want to make something, then it's great. You don't need to wait for it to arrive, you don't need to go out to the shop, you can just start right there and then and just get on with your project. I'll link where I got that from. If you guys have made this top, or you're going to make the top, do show me how they turned out, because I'd love to see, especially if you've done any variations to it and things like that. You can find me on Instagram on ann.editedlife, I'll leave it down below. And I will have a blog post having all the details about this make over on my blog page as well, which I also have popped in the description box down below. So I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.